This gimbal is only $69, and it's amazing. Keep watching to find out why. Hey, what's up guys, Julian from smartphonefilmmakingpro.com here, the ultimate online course about smartphone filmmaking. The company Hohem was kind enough to send me their iSteadyX, and in the last couple of weeks I was putting it through its paces. Keep watching till the end because there I'll share the most impressive thing about this gimbal. So first off, let's start with what you get inside the box. And as I've said, you can currently get this gimbal for only $69, and for that you get the gimbal itself. You get a little table tripod, a USB to USB Type-C cable, and a little carrying pouch. It seems like this is pretty much the standard these days with all gimbals. So once you unbox the gimbal, you need to download the Hohem app to set up your gimbal. And this is very straightforward, and it only took me about a minute, so it's super easy. But before you can start, you need to balance the gimbal. And this one is also very comparable to the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 and also the OM4 Smart XR, which I reviewed in my last video. And in case you've not seen that, well, make sure to click the annotation. But basically you put in your phone into this clamp and then you have to slide it up and down and also left and right until it stays without falling over in any direction. This does take some practice, but once you figure it out, it's not that difficult. So next up, let's find out how smooth the gimbal is. And if you know how to use it, you can get some very smooth shots with this gimbal. But what do I mean by that, if you know how to use it? Well, you have to get the balance right, and you also need to walk like a ninja. Well, at least that's what I call it, which means you have to bend your knees. And if you want to learn more about getting the most out of your smartphone and the gimbal that you have, make sure to check out Smartphone Filmmaking Pro, because there we have over 50 tutorials and well over 5 hours of high valuable content that will step up your smartphone video quality a lot. So overall, I found the gimbal to be pretty much on par with all the other gimbals out there. It's maybe slightly less smooth than, for example, the DJI OM4, but it is barely noticeable, to be honest. And for normal push-in shots, this is extremely good. And when it comes to parallax shots, this gimbal really surprised me. I got very smooth shots, so overall, when it comes to the smoothness, I can highly recommend this gimbal. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the app and all the different modes that the iSteadyX offers. With this gimbal, you get a ton of kind of like pre-programmed modes that will get you some very nice looking shots. And I have to admit, I personally, I'm not a huge fan of these modes because I just don't like it to give away all the controls and let the gimbal and my phone do everything for me. But I have to say, I am a professional filmmaker, so I just like to keep the control in my hand because I feel I can get better results if I do it myself. But maybe that's just the way I see it, and you will love this modes. And I won't go super in depth into them, but I will show you the Inception mode real quick. Once you are in the app, all you have to do is basically plan your shot and then tap on the mode that you would like to access, and then you just go. The gimbal and the app will do everything else for you. It even will press record for you, so you do not even have to do that. And don't get me wrong, these modes are really cool and they work really well. I personally, I'm just not the biggest fan of them because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier. And if you are just starting out and you do not have that much experience when it comes to filmmaking, this might be absolutely perfect for you. So just keep that in mind. So now let's talk about some of the technical aspects and my favorite feature of this gimbal. It has a battery life of 8 hours, which is pretty standard, and it only weighs 259 grams, which is extremely light, and it has a payload, which that is the cool part, of a whopping 280 grams, which is just 10 grams less than the DJI OM4. And for all of you that follow the course or the channel know that the ultimate test for a gimbal is the adding of an add-on lens to the gimbal. So I tried putting on the Lancy anamorphic lens onto my iPhone 12 Pro, and to my surprise, this gimbal could actually carry this very heavy setup. Even my DJI OM4 struggles at some points with this setup, and this is a way bigger and way heavier gimbal. You definitely have to balance it in a very weird way, but it works, and in the end, that's the only thing that really matters. So now you might be asking, were there also some negative aspects with this gimbal? And yes, there were some. A very common issue that I find with gimbals is the visibility of the gimbal within the shot when using an ultra wide angle lens in vertical mode. So if you switch to vertical mode and then you use the ultra wide angle lens, you can see the gimbal in the final shot. Very noticeable. And I know I do not want to start this discussion right now, because a lot of you will say, well, shooting vertical video is only for idiots and only horizontal video is real filmmaking and cinematic and so on. And that's a completely different topic, and we won't go more in depth into this right now. But for social media posts, and especially for stories, a 9:16 aspect ratio is the best thing that you can use. Period. And as I've said, in this case you can very clearly see the gimbal, which makes it basically unusable in this mode. If you switch to the normal lens, the standard one, it works no problem, but just keep that in mind. And another thing that I didn't really like, but in the end is also just kind of like a positive feature, is the overall build quality. It's definitely not the best on the planet, but in my opinion it's good enough, and the results you can get are amazing. And in the end, that is what makes the gimbal that light. So overall, I have to say I am really impressed with this gimbal, especially considering it's only $69. You get an amazing gimbal, and I can highly recommend it to you all. Again, thanks to Hohem for sending me this gimbal. And in case you're not subscribed to this channel already, make sure to do so to not miss any future content. But that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.